Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again. Here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another comic book related movie video. This one's going to be going over my top 5 favorite comic book movies of all time. Well, at least until right now. August 21st, 2013. Now, I should say right off the bat, too, this doesn't necessarily mean that I think these are the top 5 greatest made in terms of, the actual quality of the movies. They're just my top 5 favorites. So, well, for me, it's kind of the 5 I think are the best, too. At least in terms of right now. I mean, for example, Batman Begins is probably aesthetically, and not just aesthetically, but technically one of the best made comic book movies there is ever made. But for me, it won't be on my list because this is more like a favorite list, so which ones I enjoy the most up until this point. And also too, I've tried to not allow, just because a certain movie is newer, affect this list as well. For example, just because The Man of Steel just came out doesn't necessarily mean it should beat out a movie that I was more amped for when it came out, back however long ago it was. Good example of that is the highest ranking XMen comic book movie on my list, which we'll start at number 5, is X-Men 2, X-Men United. This one for me, why is this one number 5 on the list? Well, for me it's my 5th favorite for the comic book movies. There was a lot of things about this that were done really well. Better than either of the other X-Men movies, better than the X-Men Origins or First Class or any of the others in my opinion. You have your core X-Men still there. You have your Cyclops, you have your Professor X, you have your Wolverine, your Jean before she dies twice. You have, everybody that you probably enjoy seeing from X-Men, or most of the characters in the movie universe, all within the same movie. You have Stryker, who I think was a great villain. Magneto's still in there having fun. The battle at the end is great. Lady Deathstrike is really cool. And it's extremely well done. Nightcrawler in the scene at the beginning. Oh my God, is the Nightcrawler scene at the beginning of X-Men 2 absolutely amazing, and in my opinion it's the best X-Men movie, and that warrants it at least to spawn the list, and it is my 5th favorite. It's got great replay value. You can watch it years later and still enjoy it very much, just because there's so many great things about it. You've got the best Wolverine kills in this one, in my opinion, of any, even better than the Wolverine movies, even though both of those are pretty good and there were some good kills in those. The scene where Hugh Jackman stabs the dude with the all 6 claws right through the chest into the fridge is awesome, even to this day. Or the one where he stabs the guy in the foot around the corner, where he jumps off the balcony and stabs the 2 guys and then flips them back. I mean, there's just so many amazing scenes in this one, and for me, this one is the best X-Men movie, and it's one of the best comic book movies there is, in my opinion. So that'll be at number 5. Number 4 is going to be a fairly recent one, and that is going to be the Avengers. Yeah, the Avengers. Probably thought I would have put it higher. I do enjoy the Avengers very much. I like it a lot. I mean, having all the characters come together and be in one superhero movie, getting to see that whole team come together, it was so epic. Why isn't it higher on the list for me? Well, mainly the reason is because the story is so bland, in my opinion. It's not very deep at all. Psychologically, there's not much interesting going on in the Avengers. It's a good popcorn flick. It's got some of the best fight scenes, some of the best, big explosions and all crazy alien invasion and great stuff that you're going to see in a comic book movie. This one has that. It's a lot of fun. You've got all those great characters in there. The Hulk, Iron Man, the Hulk steals the show. You've got Iron Man with the great, heroic save at the end with the nuke. It's funny. It's got a lot of humor mixed in with it as well, and it does have a lot of replay value. It's just a lot of fun, which is why I think it's probably the highest grossing of any of these movies. It was just done really well. It was done right, and it's one of my favorites. It's number 4 for me because the story is so basic. Even though it's a lot of fun to watch, it lacks that substance that I like to see in movies that really give it that replay value so that I could watch it years later. This one's just a fun one, kind of turn your brain off, really enjoy it type movie. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the style it went for. It's a style that appeals to most people, which is why it was the highest grossing of any of these. And it deserves to be on the list. I'm putting it at number 4 for my 4th favorite. Number 3 is going to be, also came in around the same time, The Dark Knight Rises. Yep, The Dark Knight Rises. I love The Dark Knight Rises. I thought it was very well done. There's a lot of things. See, the movie is so long and it's so dense with characters and with different things happening that a lot of people, hate it for one reason or another, or they think like it's not written well. There's a lot of problems with it, and I'm not disagreeing with that. There are a lot of different problems with The Dark Knight Rises, but it's not perfect by any means. But I do feel like it was a great finish to the Dark Knight trilogy. I feel like Bane was awesome. The character development for Bruce in this was good as well, I would say. Particularly with Alfred, the acting by Michael Caine. I mean, if you can get that kind of emotional draw out of your audience from a comic book movie, you're doing something right. But, I mean, there's so many things that can be said about The Dark Knight Rises because it's so dense. But I do love it. It's a lot of fun. The only thing about it, with the replay value, it's kind of come down a little bit for me. I have seen it, I think, about 4 times, maybe 5 times now over. And it's just it's really hard to watch every couple of years, that type of thing, because of the length and because there's not actually as much action. I think if there's one fault in The Dark Knight Rises, it's the fact that there isn't as much action as there could have been. They probably should have added in a lot more action to just add to that fun factor. A lot like the Avengers and how much action there was in that, which maybe in that there was too much and in this there was not enough. But for me, it deserves to be on the list, and I'm putting it at number 3. I think it's fantastic. And if you want to hear more of my thoughts about any of these, watch my reviews. The only one I don't have a review of is X2. Okay, so that's number 3, The Dark Knight Rises. Number 2, my second favorite comic movie of all time is Watchmen. Yes, Watchmen. Trev, why Watchmen? Why would that be higher than the Avengers and The Dark Knight Rises and X2? I love Watchmen, even up until this day. I love it. I love how dark it is. I love their interpretation of the graphic novel, the story. I like the improvements they made to it. I love everything about it. The only thing I don't like about it is some of the music doesn't fit, and a score probably would have fit it better. But it is, for me, one of the absolute best comic book movies, and it's got so many different elements to it. It's so dense. It's got things about it that'll make you question. I mean, make you think about and question politics and justice and the gray area of when that folds, and Rorschach and his decisions. Dr. Manhattan as a character with what he decides to do at the end of the movie, his story arc throughout it, and I think it's pretty amazing that you have all of these new characters where most people don't know any of these characters going into the movie, and then we finish having such a good understanding of every single one of them, where they stand, and are, each one of them are so intriguing. Rorschach is awesome. Dr. Manhattan is amazing, and brings, so much psychology, and just it's so thought-provoking as a comic book movie, and a story as well too. It's basically regarded as the greatest graphic novel ever written. Pretty much, it's known as that essentially. And I think the movie really did do it justice. Some people were disappointed in the movie, but I thought it was great. The visuals, the dark visuals and slow-mo scenes of the comedian, for example, getting thrown out the window and all of that. The ending, all of Rorschach's parts all the way through. It's just got so many layers to it. It's got everything that you would love about a superhero movie or story, all wrapped into one with characters that anybody can relate to, at least, you know, a couple of them, and enjoy them and like them for who they are. And as a result, for me, it's my second favorite comic book movie of all time. I can never get enough of Watchmen. It's one of those that I can go back and watch every year, pretty much, see new things that I don't really remember seeing before, think about it in new ways that I hadn't thought of before, and take something different from it every time I watch it. That's how amazing Watchmen is. I'm not a big fan of the Ultimate, I think it's called the Ultimate Cut, or the Director's Cut with the Black Freighter story arc. I felt like it makes it too long, because at that point, if they put in the Black Freighter story arc, it's like over 4 hours for the movie, and I don't feel like it adds enough for the amount of time that it's in there for. Even though, again, there's some interesting parallels between the story of the Black Freighter and Adrian and some of the characters, and how you can relate it back to them and the message, which is awesome too. But anyway, the runner-up for me, my second favorite comic movie of all time, is Watchmen. Yes, absolutely love it. Okay. So that brings us to number one. What could number one be? I think you guys already know what it is. You guys know I'm a huge Batman fan, and that's going to be The Dark Knight. Oh yeah, The Dark Knight. I mean, do I need to explain why? I mean, not really. You know, I don't really feel like I have to explain why The Dark Knight is my favorite comic book movie of all time. It's the one I've seen the most. It's the one I think is the most fun. It's, I mean, Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker was nothing like we'd seen in comic book movies prior or since. You know, I mean, I look at it as, for comic book movies, the bar was like here. And when The Dark Knight came out, it was like so far above it, it's off the camera. So then the bar had to be raised. And the problem was that even now, nobody else, even Nolan with The Dark Knight Rises, can't hit that bar that he set with The Dark Knight. The bar was raised so high, and now no one else can touch it. You know, it's so high up there, at least in my opinion. Now, it depends what you like too. If you're not a big Batman fan, if you don't like the Joker very much, this might not be your favorite. But I have a hard time seeing how anyone could really not at least include The Dark Knight in their top 5 favorite list, unless they just hate Batman, because this was so well done. It made it feel legit. Like, when you're watching that movie, you feel like a guy like Heath Ledger's Joker could actually exist in the real world, you know? Batman, maybe a little bit of a stretch, but a guy like the Joker, oh no, you feel like, you know, with that performance that he sold, it's like a terrorist like that. You could feel like a guy like that could really exist in the real world. It's exciting. The action sequences are amazing. The different plot twists and what happens with Rachel, Harvey, and I mean, all the way through, The Dark Knight is the best. Like I said, it just raised the bar, and unfortunately, nothing since it, even though the quality of everything else, I think, has improved because of it. You know, we saw that with Man of Steel. Very, very well done. I still feel like nothing can really touch that. I don't know if any performance in any of the other comic book movies I can think of can touch Heath Ledger's Joker. I mean, Christian Bale's Batman is amazing too. The cast, you even got Morgan Freeman in there as Lucius, and Michael Caine as Alfred. The Dark Knight is my opinion, the best comic book movie, and it is by far my favorite. So that being said, I'll go over a list again. My top 5 favorite comic book movies. Number 5 is X2. Number 4 is The Avengers. Number 3, The Dark Knight Rises. Number 2, Watchmen. And number 1, The Dark Knight. If you guys want to see any reviews for any of these, except for X2, because I haven't reviewed that, feel free to check out this channel or my first channel, which is Trevor Harris 881. My review for The Dark Knight should be in there if you guys want to see him. Hear more details if you're interested. But those are my top 5 favorite comic book movies of all time as it stands right now. Will they change in the future? I mean, their order could, depending. Probably not much. But you know, it's going to be a while until we see another comic movie, I think, that can rival these or change the order. Superman versus Batman, or whatever they end up calling it, Batman versus Superman, that could bump out one of these, depending on how good that ends up being. Could get in there somewhere. Avengers 2 may bump out the Avengers or some of the others. X-Men Days of Future Past could knock out X2 or some of the others for a place. So there are some that could change this in the future, but at least at the moment, as it stands right now, these are my top 5 favorites. If you guys want to post your top 5 favorite comic book movies, please feel free to write them in the comments below. If you want to do a video response, I will approve video responses to it with your lists. Kind of fun to do. Love comic book movies, and kind of fun to think about which ones we think are our favorite, why we think we enjoy these ones more than others, and which ones are the best. So anyway, that's all I got to say about this topic. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll call it here. That's it for this video. I'll see you for the next one. This is Trev. I'm saying peace.